Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Can Lit, a podcast that showcases Canadian authors. I'm your host, Maria Zupardi, an avid Can Lit reader, and keep on listening to find your next favorite book today. Welcome back, everyone. So, today I want to talk about two recent reads that I think you'll really like, and of course, the Giller Shortlist. But first, shout out to my week off because as soon as I'm done editing this episode, I'm going back on my couch to read, and I am just in literal heaven. Reading vacations are like the actual best, so I definitely need more throughout the year. And I think you should also take some because they're very rejuvenating. Okay, so these two books I'll be talking about today are actually perfect for this time of year, so I could not have read these at a better time. First up, we have River Mumma by Zalika Reid-Benta, published by Penguin Canada. So this book is about Alicia, a millennial Black woman who isn't living up to her life plan. She finished school, she thought like she would have an amazing career and just life in general by now, but it seems like everyone she went to university with is living that life that she strives to have except for her. Like she lives with her mom who's constantly checking in on her, asking her to like get this from the grocery store, and she just has a shitty retail job. So like you know how hard it is, and I totally get that. So, one night when she's walking home from a party that her coworker practically forced her to attend, River Mama comes to her and it basically enlists Alicia to find her comb or else she'll like disappear forever. And that'll have like serious consequences for everyone around the world. The catch, though, is that Alicia has only a day to find this comb. And let me tell you what a ride it was for Alicia and her two friends slash coworkers who end up helping her. If you like live or have lived in Toronto, this book will definitely be familiar to you with its like descriptions and landmarks. I just loved them. I also, fun fact, I went to Glendon, which is like the mini campus of York University on Bayview, Eglinton, Bayview, Lawrence area. So it was kind of fun to revisit that area through the book. I just loved it when it came up. I'm like, oh my God, I loved this. But I do think the best part of River Mama, besides the amazing writing, of course, was the fictionalized Drake that we meet, like, kind of like the last quarter part of the book. Um, Oh my god, like, how iconic. The book was just already going great for me even before we get to him, so that was, like, the cherry on top for me. I'm kind of sad, though, that this book came out and now Adonis, Drake's son, has, like, the song out. It is stuck in my head. I literally can't get it out of my head. But, like, I feel like if Salika had held on to this book for a bit longer, she could have also written in this little boy and Adonis and his man. I think that would have made a really fun addition to the book. But of course, we can't have everything what we want. But anyways, back to the book, which it is just so much more than Drake in like the Toronto setting. It tackles like themes of identity, heritage, ancestry, Jamaican storytelling. Like it's just such a beautiful, beautiful book. The writing, oh my God, I love it so much. I really like if you read Zalika's debut short story collection and then you read this debut novel, like you will like if you read it back to back, you will definitely see the kind of change in writing. So like I just it was so fabulous. I can't get enough of this book, honestly. Yeah. So River Mama by Zalika Reid-Benta, just a must read for now. Like it's magical setting, its atmosphere. It's just great for fall into like the end of November. I think this is like literally the perfect time to read it. Maybe even January when it's like cold and dark and depressing. Like this book is just it's serious, but it's also funny, especially with like the fictional Drake part. So yeah, either read it now or save it for like the cold winter months when you want something like really fun to read. My next book recommendation is from an indie press, and that is Jawbone by Meghan Greeley, published by Radiant Press. Can I just say how amazing this cover is? Like, I love the treatment of it. It's kind of like a matte, rubbery feel, but like the clouds and the lips of the woman's face on it are kind of like a glossy finish thing to it. I don't know. It's just such a statement, and it felt really great to kind of hold it in my hands while I was reading it. So Jawbone is definitely what defines much of Canlit to me. It's like cool, literary, genre bending, and kind of weird, but like in a good way. Like if you read enough Canlit, like there are some weird books. that we produce. But I mean, it's weird in a good way. I don't know. It's just it's we have our own vibe, and I think it's very unique, and this book fits the vibe. Okay, so Jawbone is about a young woman who kind of rented out a cabin to prepare to like film a submission video to win a one-way trip to Mars since she's looking for like the ultimate escape. The one problem though is that her mouth was wired shut for like a long time for reasons we find out later on. I'm not going to spoil it for you because you should read this. But even though it's not wired anymore, she has a hard time coming up and like saying the words that she wants to say for this video submission. So as the novel continues, we learn about her young adulthood as an actress. I mean, sorry, I say young adulthood, but like she's still of the same age. Maybe like I mean, time has definitely passed in this novel, but like not years or years. So probably shouldn't say her young adulthood, but let me say earlier before in the year compared to where we are at now at present day. She was an actress. She was living with her bestie, communicating to her long distance boyfriend who like lived in California and her mixed feelings between him and then her roommate. So this novel, as the back cover says, is a passionate story about queer love and loneliness and a dazzling debut. I literally cannot find a better way to describe Jawbone besides dazzling. Like it just sums the book up perfectly. Don't be fooled by its small size. There's just so much packed in here. I really was rooting for the characters. I think this story will honestly catch you by surprise, like it did to me. Like, if you want a book you can read in like a day or a few short hours and just like literally escape into a story and forget where you are, what you're supposed to be doing, Jawbone by Meghan Greeley is the book for you. Yeah, it was just so unique and so cool. And I don't know, I think that it definitely warrants like a reread to kind of like just to read it again, knowing what you know by the end of the book and just seeing that through the lens of, like, what you know, I don't know, that doesn't make sense, but when you read this book, I promise that will make sense. Alright, so now that I've added 2 new books to your Canlit TBR, let's just talk about the Gillers. Honestly, I wasn't going to talk about it too much because I am just so annoyed, and I'm just so tired of bullshit, but I feel like being salty, so, like, let's get into it. So the shortlist, I know this is like a week later, but it's fine. Let's just pretend the shortlist was just announced. Anyway, so out of the 12 books that were longlisted, the shortlisted titles are Sarah Bernstein's Study for Obedience, published by Knopf, Canada. I said that wrong. Knopf? I don't know. I never know how to say that. Anyways, next up, we have Eleanor Catton's Burnham Wood, published by McClelland and Stewart, also Penguin Random House. Kevin Chong's The Double Life of Benson Yu, published by Simon and Schuster. Dion Irving's The Islands, which is a short story collection published by Catapult, um, but it's distributed by Penguin Random House. Like this counts as a Penguin Random House title. I think, especially as like in their Instagram post of the Giller announcement, they have it included in their stack. So like to me, that's a Penguin Random House title. And then finally, we have C.S. Richardson's All the Color in the World, published by Knopf, Canada, also Penguin Random House. So yeah, out of those 12 long listed titles, where half of those, so 50%, 6 titles that were published by independent presses, you're honestly telling me that not one of those books were fit to be on the short list? I mean, like, honestly, like, I'll come right out and say it. ECW was honestly robbed. I think we meant well, totally should have won the entire thing. But why didn't it make the short list? You know, like, okay, like, I know I didn't read barely any of the other ones on here. Like, I definitely read All the Color in the World, which is good. I mean, it's not, like, mind-blowing, but it was good. Study for Obedience, I DNF'd because that was, like, some Sheila Heti shit that I just was not into. Yeah, like, really? None of them? No indie Canlit press could have made the shortlist. Yeah. Let's say we take out All the Color in the World by C.H. Richardson from the shortlist equation. We meant well. It honestly fits in perfectly because literally none of these other books really take place exclusively in Canada. Like the shortlist is so international. This is definitely the jury's doing, specifically Ian Williams. I don't know. These are just my beliefs. Obviously, what I say probably might not even be true, but I'm just speculating here. I honestly think Ian Williams is just like brown nosing his publisher and like his international buddies to further his career. I mean, like, sure, there are 5 jury members here, but at the end of the day, Ian Williams is the jury chair. He's very I don't know, he's just not the vibe. I just don't I don't know, I don't like him. I don't wanna say I don't like someone, but I something about him, I just cannot deal with it, and that's why I think he has much to do with the shortlist. Um, yeah, but, like, again, at the end of the day, honestly, he is the jury chair, so he is the center of everything, so I feel like we can all blame him for the shortlist. Like, he's with Penguin Random House, at least, like, his Giller book was. I don't know if I think he came out with other stuff, but I don't know. Sharon Bala, who wrote The Boat People, which is really great, I think that's been her only book. She's with Penguin, that was with Penguin as far as I know. Rebecca Mackay, who's the American judge here, she's with Penguin. Neil Mukherjee, he is an Indian British writer. His book or whatever, at least one of them were with. The one that I looked at was with Penguin. And Brian Isaac Thomas, he's the only author on the jury who is currently at a small press. But if his next book doesn't come out with Penguin, I'd be shocked. Like, it has to be coming out with Penguin at this point, or at least not his next one if he already has a deal in place, but like the one after. So yeah, the reason why I think it just comes down to the fact that last year's Gillers were so epic. Like, there was so much love for indies on the short list and the long list. Coach House won it last year. And like, it just felt like one big indie press celebration, not only with the Gillers, but like many of the other prolific um, awards, like the Writers Trust, like all of those Governor General ones. Like, it just felt very much like very indie canlit heavy. And like this year, it's not just the Gillers, like everything else that I've seen, it's like been dominated mostly by the big five. And it's just like, I don't know. So I feel like indies had one really great year, and now like we just have to scramble and publish whatever we can for the next like five, until the Gillers take pity on us again. um yeah, and like again, like, so there's that. Last year felt like a huge celebration of indies with the Gillers. And this year, two of the biggest literary books, so that's Study for Obedience and Burnham Wood, just somehow made it onto the shortlist. And to top it all off, no other book really takes place in Canada, besides like the majority of All the Colors in the World, and maybe some stories in the islands, which I haven't read, by the way, but I'm sure one or two must take place in Toronto. And like, I know, again, I haven't read this book, but The Double Life of Benson Yu, it might not have like an explicit location stated, but from what I hear, it's kind of like it's not like it can take place in any Chinatown in North America kind of setting. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really inspired by any, like, there's no set location, but like it can just be any location that you want it to be, depending on where you're reading it from. But yeah, like, do you see why I'm so disappointed? Like, the most prestigious Canadian literary award, that is one of the top drivers of book sales in Canada, as it states on the shortlist press release, and it's the truth. But yet, like, it's 2023 prize year, which just so happens to be their 30th anniversary, by the way, doesn't even reflect the actual like landscape of Canadian authors and the publishing landscape. Like, give me a break. All Honestly, all you need to do to qualify for the Gillers is be a Canadian citizen. So, like, thank you to those two big authors on this list who are reaping the benefits of the Gillers without actually living in the country. But who will I root for? I'm always one to like root for the underdog, to be honest. So I hope in my heart that at least a BIPOC author will win the prize. So like that would mean either Dion Irving or Kevin Chong, because if we're going to talk about authors and, the biggest driver of book sales in Canada, I think that as a prize that again stands for Canadian literature, it should go to at least a Canadian BIPOC author this year, considering again like the landscape of the rest of the books that are on here. Um, I really do expect one of them to win. I do hope though it's Kevin Chong. I don't know, I just feel like it's that like that book is the moment, like that's the one book I hear a lot about. I really do need to read it. But like the one book that I will read on the short list, if I get the chance, it will definitely be that one first and foremost because I think it's just sounds so unique. I think it's just the big shocker to everyone. And I love a good book that shocks people about why it's on a prize and, to realize, oh, it actually deserves to be here. So yeah, so that's why I hope Kevin Chong wins. He also lives in Vancouver. So, he's actually one of the two Canadian authors on here that lives in Canada. Yes, C.S. Richardson lives in Toronto. Kevin Chong is in Vancouver, and everybody else is just like wherever. So yeah, so that's why I really hope again it's Kevin Chong. At least like he actually lives in Canada. He contributes to our economy. He has a Canadian, Simon and Schuster Canada. Plus, I don't remember the last time Simon and Schuster actually won, and they're also the only publisher on this shortlist that's not Penguin Random House. So like, Simon and Schuster all the way, to be honest. But honestly, if Burnham Wood or Study for Obedience wins, like I will actually be so pissed because that is just like a very obvious move on the jurors' part to further their careers. Again, in my view, at the expense of an author who actually deserves to win, whether they're on the shortlist or not. Like it's like a power move. And I don't know, I'm not about that. Again, like, sorry, I know I've said it a million times, but that's my view. That's how I take it as a Canadian book consumer. So I'm not happy. And I don't know how happy everybody else is. I know a lot of people are like really pleased about the shortlist, but like when you really dig down into like, like we have 4 Penguin Random House titles, we have 3 authors who like really don't even live in the country. What are you doing? Right? You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, that was a lot. There's so much more I could say, but like, I have a headache, to be honest, and I need to go have a coffee and like sleep and read for a bit. So that's why I'm just going to cut this rant short because, as you know, I could go on and on and on and on forever. But on that note, I will leave you with a reminder to put your money behind like River Mama by Zalika Reid-Benta and Jawbone by Meghan Greeley because those 2 books are definitely worth putting money, time, and effort behind, as opposed to the majority of the Skiller shortlist. But again, I digress on this. I will stop talking about it now. I know I haven't done this in a while, but you know what that sound is? And that is my Canlit TBR jar. Now, I could select one, which I will, and we'll see what happens for the next time. But I haven't updated this jar. So I'm also not in my usual recording space. I'm in my living room. So I don't know. I'm just going to go off by memory because, again, I haven't updated this jar. So let's see how this works. I hope I pull a book that I haven't unhauled or like it's on my bookshelf. I don't know what I'm saying. Again, I have a headache. But anyways, let's pull a book and let's see what comes out. All right, what is this? Oh, I put 2. Oh gosh, one fell. Okay, I'll open the one that's in my hand instead. Wow, I really did this so tiny. Okay, there we go. All's well. I definitely unhauled that. So no. Okay, let's see this one that fell. Oh, Such a Lonely, Lovely Road, which is by Kagiso Lisego Malope, which I'm pretty sure I have. Maybe not. Okay, this is going terrible. Okay, let me just do one more. I don't actually know if I have that book anymore or not. Oh my gosh. I realize I can just easily borrow these from the library or Libby, but okay. The Second Substance. What is this? Let me look this up really quickly. I don't think I have this book anymore. It is by Anne Lardot. It is Coach House Books. I feel like I unhauled this. Oh my gosh, this is actually going terrible. See, I practiced this before, and I'm like, the 2 books that I did pull out, I'm like, okay, this works. Like I have them, and then I put them back because I wanted this obviously to be like a live picking. But now I regret my life's decisions. Okay, I'm just gonna do one more, and I'm gonna keep these out, and whichever one I actually do have is what I'll read, and you'll just find out for the next episode. depending on what this one is, which again, I can't open because I did these too tiny. A Girl Like That. I need to look this book up as well because I don't know who wrote what. Oh, I know this book. This is a YA book. It is by Tanaz Bathena. I definitely have this. I am pretty sure I have this. Okay, so it's a young adult contemporary fiction novel. Okay, great. This is great. I'm 90% sure I have this book, so I will definitely do my best to read it. If not, I will actually check if I do have these other books, and if I do end up having them, I will also try to read them, but, like, I don't know, we'll see what happens. So let me close this jar. That seriously needs an update, but I'm too lazy to do it right now. Anyways, that was a lot. That was a journey. Oh my gosh, thank you. That was embarrassing, but also fun. What a fail. Okay, I should stop this because I gotta go make a coffee. But keep reading Canadian authors. I will be back with my next episode in 2 weeks. I am now off to enjoy the rest of my vacation time. And today, when you're listening to this episode, I will be going out to buy a copy of a certain pop princess memoir that comes out today that I can't wait to have my hands on. But I will also be reading Hamlet in between, I promise you. I did pre-order the book. Sorry, this is just a total random story. I pre-ordered it on Amazon because I'm like fast, reliable shipping. I want it as soon as it comes out because chances are if I pre-order it like months before, it'll get shipped to me super fast. So something possessed me the other day to actually look up my shipping like time window or whatever on Amazon, and I see like shipping your order will ship between November 1st and November 5th. Can let me tell you how fast I canceled that pre-order because I am not waiting. So instead, I'm going to hop in my car that I paid money for because it's the first car I ever bought with my own money. Used, of course. I can't afford a brand new car. They are expensive. Oh my God. Anyway, so I'm going to hop into my new car, my new used car that I bought. I'm going to drive 2 blocks over to my Kohl's, which I hope never changes to an Indigo, or else I will rage about it on here at a future episode. So yeah, I'm gonna go to my Kohl's. I'm gonna go pick up the book if they have it. I expect them to have it. If they don't have it, I will order it fast from Book City, which I just checked their website before recording this episode, and they have 5 in stock already showing on their website. And I know Book City ships if like I order right in the morning, I should literally have it shipped by the next day and I will have the book by this pop princess in like 2 days, which I don't mind waiting 2 to 3 days for after release date. But to wait over a week for it to ship from Amazon is just ridiculous. So, anyways, on that note, on that story that is not even Canadian literature related, I apologize. I will stop talking now and keep reading Canlit, like I've said before, and I will see you for my next episode. Thanks for listening to the Get Canlit podcast, a show that's all about what Canadian authors you need to read next. Don't forget to rate, review, and follow on your favorite platform, and watch out for new episodes every other Tuesday. You can find me on social media at Get Canlit Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and at Get Canlit Pod on Twitter. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.